Good evening, YouTube. Temple of the Adversarial Forge. This is Palm. I decided to do a video today on my current writing project, Liber Dozak. Kind of wanted to give a little backdrop, a backstory in regard to how the work began, and also a little insight in regard to where this work seems to be going, what the purpose of it is, and also what it is specifically for those of you within the Forge that are actually putting forth the effort to do the work. Now, some of you who follow me, especially members of the Forge, I'm sure you remember months back I was going through this, what I would call phase, where I pretty much thought that the generic God of Christianity, on one hand, was pretty much one and the same with the generic Satan or opposer. That basically it was one divine force which separated in order to better understand itself. Now, I was really insistent on staying away from that kind of concept because I just didn't want to hear it. But the thing was, everything kept getting confirmed through outside sources. Alright, it wasn't just within the circle that I would get these ideas. You know, I'd post something about it on Facebook, and someone would say something like, "Oh man, yeah, I felt that way forever." Or someone would say, "Yeah, study the Tetrachus diagram." It basically points to the same concept. I could give numerous other examples, but they're all written down. I'm not really gonna reread the whole introduction. Point is, I had this thought and idea, didn't seem to be mine. This idea was also being confirmed from external sources, so I looked at this as a synchronicity that couldn't be denied. So what I started doing was developing a system of sorcery based around neutrality, completely void of duality. What do I mean by that? Let me elaborate a little bit. Okay, for instance, circle casting. Instead of calling upon angels, demons, or entities at all, I basically called upon the watchtowers like a Wiccan would. Okay? First I moved clockwise, awakening the more loving, nurturing, comforting side of the elements within. Now, in the process of doing that, in between the cardinal points, I decided to open up the four worlds of the Kabbalah. Then I moved counterclockwise, awakening and invoking the more destructive aspects of the elements within. And between the cardinal points, I opened up the four hells of the Qliphoth. Now, after I did this, the atmosphere kind of felt like it was going to implode, but then it got extremely void. It was like I was in the void, nowhere, in the middle of nothingness, and it caused great anxiety. And I started to feel an entity watch within the room, within this very temple room. And it was moving around the circle and not making itself known, but I felt the eyes upon me. I felt the observation going on. Now, The whole point of this was basically to invoke this supreme force, what some would call Sunat Kumara or Sat Nam, ultimate consciousness. That was the goal. And then I was going to do an evocation after a moon phase on the full moon to get more information on spirituality before this concept of man-made duality came into the picture. The thing was, I was standing within the circle in the middle of this nothingness, and I couldn't function. As a matter of fact, all that was going on was nausea and internal dialogue. Now, this dialogue was pretty much an argument with self. Like, why are you even doing this? You're a black adept. What's the point of this? You know, it felt like the black flame was being extinguished, while this external light that gets spoon-fed to everybody was getting crammed back down my throat. And for lack of a better term, it pissed me off. I literally began throwing up because of the anxiety. I puked and I puked and I puked. It was, as revealed by Akoman later, the result of spiritual vertigo. Back to the entity in the room. In the middle of this circle, I had to decide. I mean, this was the impression I got. You know, are you gonna go jumping down this rabbit hole? Okay, and deal with years of distraction and useless work? Or are you gonna forge ahead and basically blaspheme all outside of self, leaving the comfort of gods altogether to become empowered, you know? I made the latter choice. Now, when I did, I started to hear the walls cracking. I heard a slithering of serpents, and it sounded like hundreds of them. And finally, I got the balls, and I just asked, you know, who are you? Why are you here? And the entity revealed itself as Akoman, what the Persians would call evil mind. There was this sinister laugh, and I could see shadows creeping around the circle. And I asked, who are you? Why are you here? And these serpentine hisses turned into this voice, and it said, I am Akoman. I am here to show you the gate to adversity. You have opened it. Your decision was the key which opened the door. What decision? I asked. And he replied, well, the decision to deny all outside of self. I'm like, well, I never summoned you. You weren't invited here. You know, at this point in time, I had an aversion towards working with these entities all together because of a certain church that built a church around this specific pantheon, and they were very unworthy to me. So unworthy that I wanted nothing to do with their gods that they worshipped, you know. So honestly, it was kind of perturbing. And then he replied, no, you're right, you did not summon me, that is correct. However, you did awaken me along with others, and you did it quite intentionally. Understand this, we don't need to be summoned, and we will not stop when we are awakened until you are destroyed or exalted. Now, he was right. You know, within the order of Phosphorus, I practice Aramonic yoga religiously. And the whole point of that system of yoga, I believe, is to turn the 7 energy centers, or chakras, into gateways for the spiritual powers of these ancient Persian devils, demons, devs, druj, whatever you want to call them. And so I knew he was right. Now, what he revealed to me afterward was that the whole concept that I was dealing with in regard to God on one hand, Satan on the other, being part of one divine consciousness, it was revealed to me that this was the test of a Rashk, the Zervanite tale in a modern and personal context. You see, according to Persian lore, Arashk had designed this tale, which basically states that the god of light, Ahura Mazda, and Angra Mainyu, or Ahriman, come from the same source. Okay, and it is said that Arashk did this to lead the righteous ones away from the true path of the god of light, Ahura Mazda. But see, Aquaman laid it out in a very interesting way. And he said, yes, this Zervanite tale does bring the righteous away from the gods of light, but it also keeps the weak from the true path of Ahriman. So the whole thing is just a mind screw, for the lack of a better term. As a matter of fact, this whole New Age consciousness is a mind screw. It really is. No, I'm not saying that you should not be a balanced person. I'm not saying that. But there's a point in time where we've got to decide what we're going to do and how we're going to lead our lives. And as my good buddy Frater Lorne likes to say, you can't dance at two weddings. And after this work and certain things that have been revealed to me, I take that very seriously. Now, those of you that have been doing the work, you know that this is right out of the gate about astrally etching you into an opposer, turning you into a direct enemy of God in everything that He manifests in your life. Okay? Any circumstance that is not of your will, you hate it as a creation of God. It's very empowering work. And you know, when I first started doing it, I considered the grimoire basically possession. You know what I mean? But the truth of the matter is, you really can't call it possession. And these entities tend to not look at it that way either, because according to Persian lore, we're born with these spirits within us. Okay? And I think that's where the Christian idea of us being born into sin comes from. These are forces that are already laying dormant inside. They're forces that can be awoken and used for your benefit. It is definitely an alchemical process. The grimoire does rely heavily on fetish items. There's a lot of practical exercises given to me by the Druj themselves. A lot of exercises that are really all about personal empowerment. So it's not just full of magical rites. No, these are things that you can do and apply to develop the psychic faculties necessary to become adept at sorcery. things like astral projection, dream sorcery. But the most important thing I'm going to say about the work, what's being revealed to me now, is it basically goes to war with Ahura Mazda. Now, I don't know how big this thing's going to be. I know it's not going to be small. But this grimoire is basically about doing one thing, and it's something I've been talking about doing for years. And I didn't understand that this was a gateway for this to manifest. But it relies both on clipothic empowerment through the backside of the tree, the night side. And it equally deals with exploring the Kabbalah. The Kabbalah is a huge part of this book. Not in the traditional sense, though. The goal of this work is actually to kick in the gates of the tree of life and to wreak havoc. To basically destroy it. And the theory behind it is get as many people as you can to do this work. That's the theory. Now, this is kind of surprising to me because I've been wondering about how to do this for a good 3 years now. How would I approach doing this? But ever since the beginning of Liber Dozak, this has been preparation and training for this kind of work. And I'm nowhere near ready. So I know nobody else is. But I know it's something I'm going to attempt. I don't believe it's ever been attempted before. And I'm just one of those people that, once I ask a question, can this be done? Well, I just want to see what I can do with it. I know curiosity killed the cat. And I don't want to sound cliche, but I might be getting too big for my britches. But in all actuality, I'm excited about it. I'm excited about where this work is taking me. I'm excited about the fact that this is coming directly from the other side. And it's not just something that I'm creating inside of my head. Now that can't be proven objectively. Okay. But in all actuality, I don't have this much class and this much intelligence. This is not stuff that's coming from my peon brain. It's just not. If it is, I'm proud. I'm proud of myself. With that being said, you guys that are within the Forge, you're getting, the Temple of the Adversarial Forge is getting bits and pieces of what's going on within the work, including some of the exercises that are more about practical, personal empowerment. Now, there's certain points in time where you folks will ask me questions, and I really can't answer them. I'm only licensed to give out certain information in regard to this. And I wouldn't want to give it out in its entirety anyway, because then who would want to even look into purchasing the grimoire? I mean, this is just logic. I'm not into anything to make money, really, but I put forth a few hours a day doing this stuff. On top of trying to juggle other currents, working with Mark Allen Smith, as much as I can, working with his current, and then being able to record all of this. It's rough, it's hectic, so you reap what you sow. I'm putting forth a little bit of effort here. I'm giving you guys within the Forge enough to get going. Um, but, you know, when I can't answer a particular question, don't take it personally. It's just honestly not something that I can do. I'm giving you all I can. You know, I don't want to leave you guys without the work. I don't want to leave you guys without something to do in regard to this current, to give you a taste of it. Because it is very draconian, and everybody knows I'm very draconian in nature. So, with that being said, I guess I'm going to go ahead and end this video. But I just wanted to give you a little backdrop in regard to this. What it's about, how it came to be. You have questions in regard to the work, let me know. I'll try to answer. If I can't, I'm just going to tell you flat out. But you guys that are working with me through correspondence, keep your work going, man. Keep doing the assignments. Stay consistent. Stay on top of it. And, you know, make sure you keep me posted in regard to your results, because if I feel like you're ready for a particular tool that I haven't made public, right, I'm going to work with you all on an individual basis, because initiation it's not this cookie cutter thing. Okay, everybody's an individual. With that being said, have a wonderful evening. Infernal blessings to you all. Devour, destroy, become, or be crushed. Palm Draconis here, signing out.